He is a Bantu. And when I shut him down with scholarship, he had a guy, had a West African come up there that was a professor, claimed to be, doubting my credentials and trying to educate me. And I shut his ass down too. I asked him the question, very simple question: what did West Africans create? So we're asking the question, are West Africans at the root of civilization? Wani, are West Africans at the root of any civilization?
No. No. Let me pull up a chair so they can have a seat. They need to sit down so bad. They literally are the opposite of civilization. They left civilization to go make an uncivilization where they just grab up everything and sell it and monetize anything they could get their hands on. Whether they sat by the Niger River fishing and selling the fish, everything was very crude. Oh, there's some people passing by. Let me hold them hostage and sell them to someone. It's just not civilized, okay? That's basically what they were doing. You mentioned yesterday that they were kind of like nomads. Well, they failed at that. You can be a successful nomad, but they weren't able to do that. They're trying to be, agriculturists and domesticate animals, but it doesn't work out very well. And they're not good at being nomadic, so I don't know what they're doing, okay? They tried to be, modern by living in the city. That didn't work. So they're just scrambling around with these different ways of living. We know that they made a U-turn and went back to bother all the people that were happy to see the back end of them. And that's where they are now. Everywhere they go, they are a problem. So when they go toward the Mediterranean, when they go north, they bother all the people that are living there. All the people that are of African descent that live in northern Africa that, have to deal with Arab racism, they bother those indigenous people. When they make a U-turn back into South Africa, obviously they bother the Khoisan and other groups that have more of a history there. When they go over to East Africa, they make a mess of it over there. No one wants to see them there. And the same thing, they bother the Twa. They are like a primary colonizer, and then you have the European colonizers. So they both tag team the Twa. Don't want them to move around in their lands that they've been walking around for longer than any other Homo sapiens, because the Twa are very old, just like the Khoisan.
Right. So, Dr. Snyder, well, first and foremost, the slave trade, it really kind of messed up the spiritual connection with West Africa and the Creator. And Dr. Snyder says, according to the text, over the centuries, the slave trade grew increasingly sophisticated, commercializing the African economy. By 1788, slave ships Dr. Alexander Falconbridge reported, the slaves are bought by the black traders at fairs. Now check this out. We're dealing with the descendants of people who had a fair to sell children that they stole. Where's the morality in that? Ladies and gentlemen, in America, we have fairs where we sell cotton candy and funnel cakes. They have had fairs where they sold children that they stole out of villages. I'm supposed to build a community with somebody who descended from that? Wani, is it possible to build a community with somebody who had a fucking fair to sell stolen people?
Nope, and they're still selling them now and genociding everybody in any country whenever they feel like it. Massive amounts of people.
Yep. Yep. What are your thoughts on this, Kush?
When I think about, and I thought about this earlier today, peace to the room, good night, everybody. When I thought about this earlier today, matter of fact, one thing I thought about the West Africans, I was like, this is the African version of the Dark Ages, in my opinion. These people operate in dark superstition, dark magic, all of these different things. And no different than with Europe during the Dark Ages when people were superstitious and they operated from this dark place. The people themselves were dark. And that's what they are. They're dark people. They're superstitious, the group of them. And when they go to these other groups of people, they are going around and bothering all of these other groups of people that are not operating in these dark places. They're like a virus or a cancer. They don't bring anything positive. They don't bring anything they destroy. They're a cancer. So that's just something that came to my mind earlier today.
Yeah, it's so true. Dr. Snyder says at the fairs, which are held for that purpose at a distance of upward for 200 miles from the sea coast, and these fairs are said to be supplied from an interior part of the country. I went there. I went to the jungle where they stole people, and those people, the tree people, are actually really sweet people. They're very decent people. So I don't want people to get the impression that I'm anti-African. No, I'm pro-African. I'm anti-slave seller. The tree people who still live in a primitive village, you know what I'm saying? They said that when we got there, about 150 miles in coast, maybe 200 miles, like Dr. Snyder says, inward from the coastline. No, I'm a lie. It was about 300 miles, maybe 300 miles in coastline, because coastline across, not on the coast. But anyway, these people, when we showed up, they did a ceremony and they were like crying. They said, and I said, what are they saying? And they said, we're thanking God that we made it back. So it's a lot of really sweet people in Africa, like really kind, God-fearing people. They did a ceremony of protection for us. The vitriolic Bantu class are who we're dealing with. So let it be known, let me put it in the ether, that I'm not anti-African. I'm pro-African. I love Africa. It was the most beautiful place West Africa is the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not going to take that away from them. But what I'm not going to deal with is vitriolic Bantu class coming over here trying to be my brother when they're trying to destroy me and my family. Dr. Snyder further says, they have asserted that they have traveled during the revolution several moons, months before they reach the places where they are purchased by black traders at these fairs, which are held at uncertain periods, but generally every 6 weeks. Several thousand are frequently exposed to sale who have been collected from all parts of the country. Like Wani said, we came from everywhere for a very considerable distance round. Listen to this shit, y'all. Dr. Snyder says free Africans as a group by no means objected. So, like I've been theorizing, text backs up my theory that the general public didn't even complain about Africans selling them. That was a mess. What are your thoughts on that, D. Salah? D. Salah, can you hear me?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Hey.
It just took a minute to get on here. I didn't know y'all would call me up that way. Okay. I'll just listen. But I'll give my submission. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, bro.
Still recovering from my surgery. But now I got energy just to like talk about spaces. But Leah, let me give the submission on all West Africans at the root of civilization, caste system. So there is a growing trend of framing West Africa as the universal creator of civilization. And while it's valid to acknowledge the early contributions of the regions like the Sahel or the Nile Valley, we have to be careful not to weaponize origin myths as a new caste system or therapeutic. Like I always bring up, one of my professors passed away, Clarence C. Walker. But see, as foundational Black Americans, what I call Sulans, aren't walking around trying to be first. We are the people who had to forge an identity under forced displacement, captivity, and constant reclassification. We didn't get to preserve kingdoms or inherit institutions. We had to build everything from scratch. So when people start ranking legitimacy based on proximity to the origin, it becomes less about unity, more about status. And that really becomes dangerous because Sulans didn't get here through migration or choice. We was created here. We got here through the furnace, and we innovated under pressure more than most cultures who had their sovereignty intact. As y'all bring up over and over, from music, language, food, military strategy to political resistance, we generate a new world culture out of necessity, and that deserves respect and not romantic substitution. And like I said, I'm not anti-African either, and I'm not against acknowledging any type of shared coincidental roots or genetic genetic DNA. But what I won't do is let cultural nostalgia erase lineage-based realities. The Sulan legacy is not African. It's really a toxinous to the United States. It is built on our stolen labor, buried ancestors, and legal welfare. We do not owe performance to a pan-Black or pan-African unity if it costs us our identity, our distinct lineage, or our future. Because the truth is, there can be no honest unity without recognizing the sovereign legacy of the people who never left. And it's turned into a platform. And to end it off, any type of solidarity without reciprocity is exploitation. So I'm going to land my plane. I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh yeah, but yeah, thank you, brother D. Salah. That's very true, and that's, you know what I'm saying, there is no reciprocity. D. Salah brought up a really good point, and that's my point of criticism, is reciprocity doesn't exist. It's just a grab of resources, a grab of opportunity. Last night in the space, for those of y'all who were on Tariq's, Bushmeat Barrister came up and again attacked Black women. I can't stand it. I don't understand. As a man, I don't understand, like, why would you, how do you feel comfortable doing that? That's beyond my comprehension. But this, back to D. Salah's point, this pseudo professor guy came up. He's probably a professor at a historical Black college. I forgot to ask him. But he attempted to discredit me with his objective of trying to turn foundational Black Americans against me. He said, we need to join together. People like Professor Allen are not healthy. We need to join together. And everybody shut his ass down, because where, like D. Salah said, where is the togetherness? It's one-sided. I'm willing to bet everybody in here who's been to West Africa knows they had to go over there with a bag. There wasn't no reciprocity in Ghana or Togo. As a matter of fact, I got overcharged for shit. And like Wani said, you see the people in their conditions, and, I didn't want to say, hey, that's not supposed to cost that much, because I kind of felt bad. And that's the point. We have been showing pity to a group of people who are vicious. And that's where I'm here, to let y'all know that these people have no reciprocity, like D. Salah said. And we've been showing, and you know what? That's our friggin' problem. I'm gonna stop cussing because for YouTube. But these people have been preying upon our kindness and pity. But Wani, the question I have, I'm being reflective on this. I'm not going outward. I'm going inward and looking at us. Why, after all we've been through, why are we always the ones, like, feeling sorry for people? Like, we need to feel sorry for I don't want to say feel sorry for ourselves, but you kind of touched on this like a year ago when we first started doing spaces. You said that Black Americans have like
we have white guilt by proxy.
Yeah, that. So
we feel guilty. We feel guilty that we live in a first world country, that we sleep on a clean bed, and we look over at some of the other people's conditions, and we feel guilty just like white people do. But we don't have any reason to feel guilty because most of the people that we're seeing in those conditions have these long histories of selling human beings, and that's the fallout of it. You're going to get ravished. You're going to be just torn asunder. You're inviting the devil in, and that's why Africa looks the way it does. They've entertained the devil with the trans-Saharan slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade, and they've just been run through. It's as simple as that. They opened the door, the devil came in, and that's where we are now.
Wani said that. I spent 5 minutes trying to explain what Wani said in about 3 sentences. Y'all heard what she said? They lowered their morality standards so low during that transatlantic slave trade that I think it was a spiritual corruption. Listen to what Dr. Snyder says on page 5. Dr. Snyder says, quote, "The trade not only commercialized the economy and changed everyday life but Africans, but it also corrupted them," which is what Wani just said. Dr. Snyder further posits, quote, "Allegedly, African kings sold their wives from which they were angry. African parents sold their children." Stop right there. FBA ain't selling their child. The only time in history where a FBA sold children was during the crack epidemic. And a scientist told me that crack was specifically designed to take over reward centers in the nervous system of a foundational black American's brain. Our nervous systems are different. And it interrupts reward systems so powerfully that those young ladies who sold their kids couldn't help it. Like, they couldn't get any joy other than crack. They couldn't even get joys from their kids. So I don't really blame our sisters for selling their kids for crack, because crack is on a whole nother level.
Right, where did they sell them?
Well, it was stories.
I never heard this.
I've heard stories of women, and I don't have any textual evidence to back it up. I just heard through the grapevine that women would not sell them, but, I'm trying to be politically correct with the way I say this.
Exchange them for favors, air quotes. Is that the best politically correct way to put it? They exchange their children in exchange for favors, and to the people that were going to exchange crack with the woman, she would exchange her child to that person for favors.
And actually, thank you, Kush. And now that I think about it, I do know somebody. I'm not going to identify who it is, but I do know of a case like that. I do know of a child who, well, let me leave that alone. I'm getting into legal areas with that. But let's just say I do know of a case that happened.
Now I see what you're talking about. I thought you meant like really sell them, like they were doing during the Depression, where they said, "I have 4 children for sale," and had a sign up.
Yep. What are your thoughts, Final Boss? FBA Final.
Hey, how y'all doing?
What's up?
Excuse me. How y'all doing?
Yes, sir.
I'm all right. So I want to speak to the whole thing about the white guilt thing. I want to tie it to something that it's one of our weaknesses, I believe, as a lineage. I think that they got that white guilt thing from us, right? What I call it is, I call them bleeding heart blacks or bleeding heart Negroes, right? And I wonder, is this like a side effect of going through centuries of oppression? Because I'm sure many of you in here have, had this thought in your mind before, like, if we were in power, we would never treat other people the way that we were treated, right? So we have like a strong aversion towards, any type of oppression of any other people, because we went through so much of it, and, we just wanted to vanquish that evil from the planet entirely, right? So we kind of became like the superheroes. Right, to a fault, right? So we kind of became like the Earth superheroes, right? Like the Avengers or something, you know what I'm saying? But there was no, as Solon said before, and you reemphasized, there's no reciprocity, right? So that's a major problem there. I do think somehow white people picked that up in their liberalism somehow, and it went to an extreme, right? So white people go from one extreme to another, right? So they did, with white supremacy and chattel slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, and the slave trade over here. They went to extreme levels of barbarism, savagery, and crimes against humanity. And then it's like they swing the other direction, trying to atone for these things, and they create situations that are just as problematic, or they create bad situations. Like now, we're kind of facing on the verge of a collapse of our country potentially within the next 100 years. A lot of that is owed to, I would say, white guilt, because they're trying to bring all these foreigners in. They're trying to prove that they're not racist to the world, when all they really had to do was just, make amends with the people that they wronged, and we would have moved past this, centuries ago. But I'll land there.
Hold on, FBA boss. I'm kicking it with my dad. He's a historian, got a degree in history from University of Alabama when black people didn't go there, and he overheard you. Did you say a collapse of the country within 100 years?
Yeah. That's a long estimate.
My dad said 5.
Damn.
Yeah. So, Dad, could you come tell us why would you? Because you need to come closer to hear you. Tell us, why do you think it's some collapse in 5? Which I don't doubt.
Well, the damage started in my lifetime. See, things like Brown versus Brown versus
Board of Education.
Board of Education, and 1964. No, President Truman integrating the military.
Right.
Okay, what I want you to do is look at another man. Men like to stand up and be proud, put their chest out and talk about we're the best.
Right.
And they always need somebody to attack as inferior.
Mm-hmm.
They tried it with the Indians ran.
Right.
They tried it with us, and we had nowhere to go, so they had us for 200 years.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, in 1948, I believe it was, a white member, a former member of the Ku Klux Klan, is the president of the United States, and he integrates the military, the big stick that the white man's always had, which makes them feel smaller.
Right. So what Dad is saying, basically, if I could summarize him, Dad is saying that, like what I've said in spaces for the last year, this system is based upon exploitation, and you need somebody to exploit. And yes. we were default, and now we like, fuck that, you're not exploiting us anymore. And final boss, there goes your collapse. You need a bottom.
Okay, now in 1965, the John Birch Society was the enemy. Okay, but all of a sudden you got white liberals coming in and attacking the John Birch Society for us, rather than allowing us to attack it ourselves. Okay, now we're dependent on these people to speak for us, or to support one leader or another, be it Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. They realize they can't do it in the open, out in your face, like they did up until 1954. So now they start working on plans to do things under the covers. Example: they've got judges that agree with them that lie in order to get a lifelong achievement, lifelong employment.
Yep.
Okay. By 1972, when the liberals are a little bit tired of us, they're a little bit tired of us, they start working underground to replace people. Now, by 1976, it's almost out in the open. They hired this guy who's an actor, whose IQ is probably about 98, to be president of the United States, because he fits the Europeans' idea, the European Americans' idea of grandpa. He was supposed to be a caretaker until they could take the country over again. And then you had people coming out of the woodwork quietly fitting what they want. You've got people like Ward Connolly and who's the Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, who totally agree that the white man is superior, but can't say it out loud.
Yeah, good point. Good point. That's my dad. Y'all dropping a little game.
Thank you,
I'm sorry,
Elder.
Final Boss. Did you land your plane?
Oh no, I was soaking in what your father was saying. But yeah, my point about the 100 years, I kind of was pushing it out. I could see 5 years, and if I'm not mistaken, the average span of a civilization is about 300 to 350 years. So we're kind of bumping up against it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going. I'm sorry to interrupt. Unless they have a homogeneous society, then they can do like the Nazis did and declare it in 2 to 3 years. But if you have a society that's mixed, like we're supposed to be, yeah, it shouldn't fall apart under any other model.
Black students, we need to know our history.
The black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what black history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau?
I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on OurStoryPublications.com and use the Cash App, $Our Story Publications.